Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Alex, you can call me Default. And today, I want to talk about a very big thing that's been happening in the Dead by Daylight community, as well as the Danganronpa community, and I want to talk about how there is potentially going to be a collab in the future. Now keep in mind, this is all speculation, this is not confirmed, this is not something that we know 100% is going to happen, but in this video, I'm going to talk about how this whole thing kind of just came to be, and why people think this is going to happen, as well as like my thoughts and opinions on this, because I definitely have some that might be different from a lot of other people you would hear stuff from, and I feel like I'm the pretty perfect person to kind of discuss this thing. And the reason why I say that is because Dead by Daylight has been a game that I have covered a decent amount on the channel. It's been one of my favorite games to play over the years. As you can see, I've got too many hours in this game. It's one of my favorite games. It has a few of my favorite characters, you know. We got Ace Visconti, Sable Ward, my favorite licensed characters in it. We got Steve from Stranger Things, Ghostface, Ken Kaneki. A lot of different characters are in this game, and I love this game. It's a fun game. It's fun being subjective, you know. Some of you might disagree with me on that one, but it doesn't matter. It's been a very big game that has meant a lot to me over the years. And on the other side of Danganronpa, I mean, if you guys are subscribed to this channel, I imagine it's because of my Danganronpa content. As you can see, you know, we covered Tetra Danganronpa. I've made a few Danganronpa tier list videos, all that fun jazz, right? And I feel like I'm one of the most qualified people to make this video talking about, you know, this potential collab. But I want to talk about how this whole thing kind of came to be. Why do people think that Danganronpa could come to Dead by Daylight? So let me show you guys the tweet that kind of started this whole thing. And it was from a tweet from Brian Beacock, which, if you guys aren't familiar with who Brian Beacock is, he is actually the dubbed voice actor for Monokuma. So he's the one in the games that goes, "The Monokuma Files," or, you know, that was a shitty impression, but you get the idea. Like, that is who Brian Beacock is. He is the voice actor for Monokuma in the games. And he just randomly one day decided to make this tweet with Monokuma laughing and a little date here saying 11/25/2025, and that's all he put. There was nothing else. It was literally just this comment, or this little post with, you know, the Monokuma gif laughing and this date. And it's just a random date, you know. A lot of people are thinking, like, oh, maybe it's a new Danganronpa game getting announced. Oh, maybe it's, you know, a collab or something. Which a lot of people are, you know, speculating it's the latter. I think the other thing that is also with this date is I want to say it comes around, like, the anniversary of Danganronpa itself. I know we're going off the AI thing, which not always the most reliable thing, but the 10th anniversary of Japanese release of Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc is November 25th, 2020. Okay, I don't know why it says 2020, but November 25th. Similar date to what we have here, November 25th. So people are speculating, oh, you know, it could be an anniversary thing for just Danganronpa in general, right? Nothing else special, just literally just that. However, about a month or two ago, Dead by Daylight did their 10-year anniversary stream, or their 9-year anniversary stream that leads into the year 10 roadmap. That's what I meant to say. And as you can see by the roadmap here, this is what we've got for 2025 into next year around April 2026. So let's just kind of go through this to kind of show you like where we're at, like what we know already, so on and so forth. So as you can see right here, we have June 2025. Licensed chapter, new killer, new map. Now this is already out and in the game because, you know, we're in July at this point, and that new killer, new map was Springtrap with the 5 Nights at Freddy's Pizzeria, Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria, whatever you would like to call it. And then into June, into July, we have the in-game event, which is the anniversary event. So that's what that is. Right here, we have July, where we've got licensed chapter and 2 new survivors and a rift. The 2 new survivors just got revealed about a week or two ago, and that is Rick and Michonne from The Walking Dead. So that's what we have for that, and that is a licensed chapter. As you can see, about both of these, we both have licensed chapters. Then we got a few things down here. I'm going to kind of like skip forward a little bit here. September, we've got, just as you can see, it just says chapter. So this just means it's an original chapter by Dead by Daylight themselves. This is going to be an original killer and survivor, so they're not going to be licensed, they're not going to be someone you know, they're just going to be made up characters by behavior for Dead by Daylight. So nothing really to note there. Then we can see Rift for October, and then here we are, November of 2025. 1 new killer, 2 new survivors. Again, this, as you can see right here, licensed chapter, just like we had for July, just like we had for June. Now, people are taking this right here, this knowledge that we have from the roadmap for year 10, as well as this tweet from Brian DeCock, and thinking, you know, both of these things are happening in November. Who's to say there's not a Danganronpa chapter coming to Dead by Daylight? And while I do think that could be a very interesting idea, while I would be pretty down for that, as I'm a big fan of the Danganronpa series and I love Dead by Daylight, is it possible for this to happen? Here are my thoughts. I don't really think it is. I think there is a possibility, but I think the odds are kind of slim. And let me tell you guys why. There's a few reasons as to why I think this is going to be the case. First things first, the thing that really makes me think that this is just not going to happen is because of this right here. Now, this right here is Identity V X Danganronpa. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Identity V or Identity 5, I'm not too sure what the actual title of it is supposed to be, but I have played this game before. This is essentially Dead by Daylight, but it's with like dolls and stuff, and there's killers in it. It's literally the exact same thing, but it's got dolls. And as you can see, they already have a Danganronpa collab in it. We've got these characters from the original game, so we've got Junko, Monokuma, Makoto, and Kirigiri. And then they did a second collab, where they did it with the second game. We got Hajime, Chiaki, Mikan, and Nagito. And then finally, they did a V3 one, where, as you can see, we've got Kaede, Shuichi, Kokichi, Miu, and Rantaro. Now, again, they could always do it. They could always collab with Dead by Daylight. But I have a feeling, since this already exists, and this is like a Dead by Daylight somewhat competitor, but for mobile, I don't really know what the odds are of it actually happening. I don't know if I can see it. Hey guys, Editor Default here, and I actually want to add a little correction because it's something that I thought about as I was editing the video. And it has to do with my little point here, and it kind of breaks my whole point in an argument as to, you know, I don't think we can add Danganronpa to Dead by Daylight because it's already in Identity V. Funny story. It turns out that Identity V has already done a Junjiito Collection either while or before Dead by Daylight got their Junjiito Collection. And I'm going to show you on screen right now. There's a bunch of different costumes that the characters have. So you got the intersection Bishonen, we've got Suichi, and we got a Tomie skin. So I think it kind of breaks my whole point of there being like no way for Danganronpa to do a collab with Dead by Daylight when they already did the Identity V one. Because it looks like, you know, at least for Junjiito, they're willing to do collabs of like numerous games of the same format, which I think is pretty good. That's awesome, and I'm really happy about it. So there goes this whole point. My whole point just kind of got disregarded. But my next point should still hold some weight, so just stay tuned and tell me what you guys think after you hear that one. Now, let me get one thing out of the way before people, like, you know, kind of tweak over this. I feel like someone is going to go and say, well, anime shouldn't be in Dead by Daylight. There's no reason for anime to be in Dead by Daylight. Let me just tell you one thing. Let me just tell you one thing already. That argument does not work anymore. Not at all. That shit is out the window, and there is no way we can say that anymore because there are already 3 or 4 collabs that we have in Dead by Daylight. And, I mean, the most obvious one is the most recent chapter that came out before Springtrap being, you know, Tokyo Ghoul. Like, literally Ken Kaneki is a killer in the game now. Like, you can't really sit here and say, oh, well, anime and horror can't, you know, that can't work in Dead by Daylight. We're only using, like, American, like, killers and shit like that. No, nope. Anime is welcome in Dead by Daylight. It's already confirmed. And even before that, Dead by Daylight X Attack on Titan literally had a whole collection for it. Again, you know, this is just, you know, more proof that it's able to be in the game. And also, one other one that we have in Dead by Daylight that I'm pretty sure I'm aware of is, like, you know, still in the game here. Junjiito X Dead by Daylight. We've literally got Tomie as a killer you can play as. You got Soichi. We've got all of these ones right here. There's all of these skins. Literally right here, we have a whole collection. So I really don't think the argument of like, oh, well, it's anime, so we'll fit into the video, doesn't work anymore. Nope, doesn't work. And here's the other thing. Danganronpa is a very horror-adjacent anime series. It's very horror-adjacent. I wouldn't say it's outright horror. I had this debate with someone before on my Discord server, but it is definitely horror-adjacent. Like, this is a murder mystery series, guys. This is like, you know, I feel like it's a very possible thing that we could get in the game. And Dead by Daylight is all about killing and sacrificing. So, like, I mean, I feel like that works pretty well. But let's go back to what we have here for the roadmap here. As you can see, we've got 1 new killer and 2 new survivors. Here's the problem I have when it comes to this being a Danganronpa chapter. My problem is that I don't really know how we could get Monokuma to work as a killer. Because here's the thing. As we know from the Danganronpa series, Monokuma doesn't kill people. He doesn't kill people. The only time he has killed someone has been Mukuro Ikusaba from being provoked. Monokuma's not a killer. He doesn't interfere with all the killing. It doesn't really work like that. The only way it could technically work is if we put Junko as a killer, which, again, I don't really think that would work all too well, because how would we get Junko to work as a killer? I could see it maybe being like a thing where, like, you put down Monokuma drones and, like, they go and attack people, kind of like the Knight, or maybe even like Twins where you control it. But, like, other than that, how would we get a Danganronpa character to work as a killer? I don't really think it would work that well. I could see Mori's being a good way to do, like, executions from the series. Like, that part I can get behind. But other than that, how would we really implement Junko / Monokuma as a killer? That's the only thing I'm really kind of having trouble with here. And again, maybe you could find a way to make it work. Maybe you could give Monokuma, like, the hammer and, like, have him hit people with it. Or maybe you could have Junko with, like, the little drones and whatnot. But again, I still just don't really like that idea all that much, and I don't really see how that could work all too well. As for the survivors, I could definitely see there being a survivor chapter when it comes to Danganronpa, because I think there's a bunch of different characters you could easily use to work for survivor. Best examples being the protagonist and the deuteragonist. So, Makoto, Kyoko, you could also do Shuichi, Kaede, or Kaito, Hajime, and Chiaki. There's a lot of different options you can do for Survivor. I think that would be really cool. Again, I don't really think this would work very well as a chapter itself. I think maybe as a Survivor chapter where we have just like Makoto and Kirigiri as survivors, that can maybe work. But how would we implement Junko as a killer? That is my big problem with this. Now, ultimately, the best way I could see a Danganronpa collab working best for Dead by Daylight, if I'm being honest with you guys, I think the best way we can make it work is just a collection of outfits. I think that'd be a really cool way to do it. I think some of the Danganronpa outfits are some of the coolest outfits that we have for anime. I mean, look at my guy Kokichi. Like, Kokichi's got drip, bro. Kokichi has one of the coolest outfits. I would be so hyped to walk around the map in a Kokichi outfit as, like, one of the survivors. I think that'd be so cool. Like, Junko, I think doing, like, Korekio, Celestia Ludenberg would be fire. Like, all these characters, like, it'd be so cool to go around as, like, dressed up as the characters. But could we really make the characters work as a killer and survivor duo? I don't really know. That's where I'm kind of stuck with. Do I see this being a possibility? I say maybe. I think it would work a lot better more as a collection than a chapter. But if it does somehow become a chapter and it works out with Junko or Monokuma being a killer, I'm all here for it. Assuming that they handle the chapter, like, and the whole Danganronpa license, like, really well, which I feel like Dead by Daylight has been really good at doing that, especially with Tokyo Ghoul. Like, I think they did a really good job of making Ken Kaneki look realistic. I think that was done beautifully. So I have faith that they could do, like, Danganronpa in a good style for Dead by Daylight. I just don't know how it would work in terms of powers and abilities. That is kind of my big struggle here. But anyway, that's all I pretty much have to say. Again, I am all open to this, but I guess we'll just have to see what happens in November, and maybe we'll get some stuff confirmed or deconfirmed before then. The big thing is that Brian Peacock did delete that tweet, and a lot of people are, like, kind of confused as to why he would delete it, because maybe he put out something that he wasn't supposed to put out, but who knows. Anyway, that's all I've got to say for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, drop a like down below. Comment down below what you guys think. Do you guys think this should be a chapter? Do you think it should not be a chapter? Do you think it should be a collection? Should it stay out of Dead by Daylight completely? I would love to know your thoughts. And with that being said, I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Keep it virtual. Peace.